Okay, so hopefully everyone can see this PowerPoint. What we're going to be looking at today, a bit different to last week. As I was saying, last week we were looking at picking out mistakes and places where bells were particularly quick or slow. What we're going to do today is look a bit at how we can use listening skills to help inform our method ringing and our call changes, ringing of call changes. And that sort of stuff. So that's the kind of area aspect that we're looking at today. I thought we'd start with something fairly straightforward. I'll be sharing some sound clips from Abel ringing simulator. Sometimes I'll show you the Abel screen, other times it'll be sort of out of the way and we'll just have this PowerPoint that you'll be looking at. I thought we'd start simple and work on from there. For each different exercise, I'll sort of explain what it's for at the start. So the first thing I thought we'd have a go at is a bit of sort of identifying good things to listen to while we're ringing. There's a few reasons for doing this. Basically, the better we can get at picking out particular rows, that does several things for us. So partly it's about enjoying the ringing that we're doing when we're back at ringing. So if you hear queens or Whittingtons or kings or any of these rows on 6 in call changes or in a method, then that can be quite a nice thing to hear. But also it's useful in terms of a kind of method ringing and conducting point of view. So method ringing wise, for example, in something like a method like Grancer doubles or triples, you get back rounds or reverse rounds in the last lead of a playing course. So it's quite a helpful, nice moment to think, oh right, goodness, we're in the last lead. That's good. Nearly at the end, perhaps. And from a conducting point of view, being able to pick out particular notable rows can help with keeping the ringing right. So what I would like you to do, please, is I'll play some different examples, and the sound should come through on your Zoom, your version of the Zoom call, and then I'll play it for a couple of rows, and then I'd like people to use the chat box to just type in the answer, as it were, to what the sound is. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this okay. If you've got your microphone on, just make sure it's switched off. Be helpful. Okay, first one should be hopefully fairly easy. So I'll play it like 2 times and then tell me in the chat box what row this is. Based on the different things on the PowerPoint slide. So just in the chat box, answers there, please. Jolly good. So ways of doing this, we've got a few answers coming in, which is great. Ways of doing this, you can listen out for where the tenor is. So in most of those examples on the PowerPoint slide, the tenor's at the back. You can listen out for where the treble is. So treble and tenor are often easier to spot than some of the other bells. And then just try to see whether there's a pattern to what you're hearing that matches the numbers on the screen. Matching what we're hearing in the tower to the numbers that we're seeing written down is quite a useful skill for ringing, really, and quite hard. Okay, let's another one. Okay, so the previous one was Queens, as lots of people were saying. What was that one? Very good, excellent. Yes, indeed. We had Whittingtons there, so not quite Kings. Well, when Kings comes up, you'll possibly hear the difference, but that one was Whittingtons. Okay, let's go for another one. And again, answers in the chat box, please. good. Backgrounds. Thank you for people who are specifying. Indeed, yes, backgrounds on 5 that time. If you've got your microphone on, just switched off as you come into the meeting. Let's try this one. And again, quickly answers into the chat box. Yes, backgrounds on 6. Now, this is where the hand stroke gap in leading becomes really important, because actually if we don't have a hand stroke gap, and I think I'll be able to illustrate this possibly. If we don't have a hand stroke gap, actually it becomes really hard to tell the difference between backgrounds on 5 and backgrounds on 6. Just have a quick listen to this and you'll see what I mean. And actually with that style of ringing, so with the hand stroke lead cartwheeled as you get in Devon chord change ringing, for example, it becomes really hard to tell whether you're ringing backgrounds on 5 or backgrounds on 6. Let's have one more just to finish it off. I think I have this one. And once more, answers in the chat box. Yes, so that one was King's. Yeah, so in slight contrast to Whittington's earlier on. So King's with the odd numbered bells, 5, 3, 1, and then the even numbered bells, 2, 4, and 6. Okay, so what we're seeing there perhaps is that being able to identify the row is quite a useful thing to do for method ringing and for chord changes. If you're thinking of calling chord changes, then using these feature rows and sort of navigating between them is a really useful thing to be able to do. And spotting things like backgrounds can be helpful as a signpost in our method ringing. I think that sort of little exercise also illustrates the importance of a hand stroke gap in terms of picking out particular changes in our style of ringing. Obviously in Devon chord change ringing, it's important not to have a hand stroke gap. Okay, so that was listening exercise number 1, and I think we did that pretty well. Let's have a look at number 2. Okay, so this is more about picking out the location of a particular bell within the change. So which bell is leading, which bell is at the back. I've got on this one an extension question as well in sort of secondary school teacher style. So what I'd like you to do with these different changes that I'll play, who is the bell that's at the front, that's leading, which is the bell that's lying behind, and then if you want to have a go at spotting which bell is in thirds place, then do that as well. That's obviously harder than finding the bells at the front and the back, which generally tend to stand out a bit more in any form of listening. It's one reason why in striking competitions, judges often identify the leading as a problem, because it's actually quite an easy problem to identify compared to problems in the middle of the change. So similar sort of thing, when the clip stops, type your answers. This sort of skill is useful for conducting, and if a bell is supposed to be leading and they aren't, and you can spot that, then that's a helpful thing to be able to sort out the ringing with a bit of information, but also for your ringing in general, particularly the leading, as we'll see in a moment with the next couple of exercises. So the question here is which bell is on the front and which bell is on the back, and if you want to extend yourself, then which bell is in thirds place. Okay, we'll start relatively straightforward and get harder as it goes on, and I'll play them each a little bit longer this time. Okay, any initial thoughts or answers just into the chat box on which bell was leading and which bell was at the back? Yeah. good. This is where, if you haven't got a piece of paper, then it would be useful to have a piece of paper possibly in front of you. So yeah, so in that example, we had the treble leading, we had the 6 in 6th place, and the bell that was in 3rd place was the 2. Just have another listen to that one and we'll pick that out. Okay. Yeah, good. Right, we'll get a slightly harder one this time, I think. Okay. Quickly, whenever you've got it, answers in the chat box. Okay, so we definitely had one of the heavier bells that was leading, and we would have heard that the 6 is still behind. We've got a few different answers. That's fine. This one is definitely a bit harder, but people are in the generally the right area. We've got the fact that it's one of the bigger bells that is leading this time. Let's have another listen. We've actually got the 4 is leading. The tenor is at the back, and it's the treble that is in 3rd place. But just have another listen. Okay, so 4 leading, tenor on the back, treble in 3rd place in that example. Good. Okay, going to start to make it a little bit harder by not having the tenor on the back. So we'll see how we get on with this. Don't worry if you're not getting them. If you're not sure, that's fine. Just keep on listening and see how we get on as we go through. So don't worry if you're not sure with any of these. Okay. And again, just listen out for the hand stroke gap. Just if you get lost in where the change is starting, listening out for the hand stroke gap is a helpful way to do that. Okay. Okay, I think that's probably quite hard. But if we start with the bell that's leading and have a think about which bell that might be. Any suggestions? Or I can play it again if we're not sure. Yep, good. So we've got a bigger bell that's leading. It's the 5. Yes, very good. The bell that's on the back is indeed the 4. Philip has got all 3 of them right. So the 5's leading, the treble's on the back, and the 4 is the bell that's in 3rd place. So 5 leading, treble on the back, 4 in 3rd place. Have another quick listen. So 5 in lead, treble on the back, 4 in 3rd place. Yeah, Nick's right. Philippa has got a good ear for this, definitely. Yeah, various people have actually. Jasmine's doing pretty well with this. Good. Okay. Right. Let's have another one. See how we get on with this one. If you've just joined and your microphone's on, if you could just make sure it's switched off, that would help. Thanks. Okay, so we've got the trebles on the back again. Yep, good. Yep, Lana's right. Trebles on the back. The 4 is the bell that's leading, and it's the 5 that's in 3rd place in this example. We've got a sort of tittency effect, sort of bells with 4 and 3 and 5 and 2 and 6 and 1. Let's have another quick listen to it. Okay, And we'll do one more of those. Like I say, I think these are quite hard actually, and I've got the advantage that I'm typing out the changes that we're ringing, so I know exactly what they are. But I think I'd probably be finding it quite hard if I was just sitting with a PowerPoint slide in front of me instead. Right, let's try this. Okay, guesses in the chat box. So we've got the treble leading in this example. Yeah, treble is leading, good. It's, yeah, sort of, it's not quite the 2 that's on the back, it's the 3 that's on the back. So we've got the actual change there is 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. Let's have another quick listen. So the treble was leading, the 5 was the bell in 3rd place, and the 3 was on the back. Well done if you got some of those right. Don't worry if you weren't sure, because I think actually that was quite a hard one. This one's even harder actually. This is where a piece of paper would be a useful thing to have. I don't think I'll go with one as hard as like 5, 2, 4, 1, 3, 6. But what I'd like us to do is try to write out what the whole row is. So, for example, rounds is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So trying to write out which bell is in 1st place, which bell's in 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Like I say, quite tricky. So if you're not sure, don't worry. We'll start with an easy-ish one to start off with. Okay, here we go. Okay, answers in the chat box, please. Yep, good. Caroline and Phil and Jasmine have all got it right. Very close, Celia. So it's 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6. What we call a near miss, where it's nearly rounds, but 2 bells aren't the right way round. Just have another quick listen and hopefully pick that out. So we just had 3 and 4 the other way round than they would be in rounds. 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6. Okay. Let's have another one. See how we get on with this one. Lots of answers coming in already, which is good. Excellent. 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6. We might. That might be a familiar sound from things like Plain Bob, where it comes up shortly after the first lead. You get 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6 in doubles and minor. Okay, let's have one or two more. Let's make this a little bit harder, just a little bit, and see how we get on with this one. I'm going to keep the tenor at the back for now, I think, but maybe have one with the tenor in a moment. Any thoughts on that one? Pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close. We had the 4 on the front is right. Yeah, good. Good. We're pretty close. We've got the sort of 5, 1, and 6 on the back. thing. The change is 4, 2, 3, 5, 1, 6. So Jasmine and Philippa again have got that exactly right. Let's just listen to it again. 4, 2, 3, 5, 1, 6. Okay. Like I said, these are kind of increasing in difficulty level quite a bit, aren't they, as we go. What I thought we'd do then is just give our listening ears a rest for a moment and have a little look at a short bit of theory for just a minute or two about methods that you can ring by the treble. This is sort of taken from a training session I did in April about how to learn a method, which some of you were at, where I kind of pointed out or mentioned that certain methods have some really, really strong structural features that are based on where the treble is in the change. So plain Bob, for example, everybody rings plain Hunt all of the time, except when, and the red line is the treble, hunting up and down here, except when the treble leads, a bell makes seconds, and then all the bells above that, and this is for doubles, minor, triples, major, as we got on this diagram, all the bells above do a dodge, or in doubles and triples they make a place in fifths or sevenths, but basically when the treble leads, a bell makes seconds and lots of other bells do a dodge. In Grancer, when the treble comes off the lead into seconds place, the effect is similar. So we have, in Grancer, we have 2 Hunt bells, the treble and the 2 in a plain course. When the treble's led at backstroke, the next row where it comes off the lead at handstroke, a bell makes thirds, and the bells in triples 4, 5, and 6, 7 do a dodge. And so if we can get the hang of the position of the treble, it can be really quite a helpful thing for ringing plain Bob, for ringing Grancer, but also for ringing lots of other methods as well. There are treble-based rules for ringing surprise major methods, for ringing surprise maximus methods, ringing all sorts of methods where rules are based around where the treble is within the change. And so being able to get a bit of a handle on the position of the treble is really quite a useful thing to be able to do. We're going to switch over to Abel now, which hopefully you can all see, which is where I've been plotting out all of these tricky changes for us to try and follow. I just thought we'd have a look, first of all, at, so we're starting easy with this tracking the position of the treble, and have a look at possibly just the first lead of plain Bob minor. In this this go at trying to follow where the treble is over here, this rope over here. The line is going to come up here as well, so you'll actually be able to see on the blue line where the treble's going as it changes, as it rings, which will make it fairly easy. We will have a go before the end at trying to follow the treble without being able to see it on Abel. Okay, if your microphone's just come on, just make sure it's switched off. Okay, here we go. So we're going to have a look at plain Bob minor, try to follow where the treble is. If you're feeling confident, you could close your eyes and try to follow it entirely by hearing. If you're not so confident, then you can have a look at the blue line over here, or at the ropes on the screen. Okay.
Well, plain Bob.
Pause it there to kind of point out that at this point the treble's on the back. We can see this on this line just on the right of the screen, and we've got backwards rounds, reverse rounds, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good feature row to look out for when you're next ringing plain Bob. The half lead, so that is to say when the treble is at the back and lying behind in 6th place, is quite a useful bit of information for some methods. So in lots of surprise methods, for example, when you get to the half lead where the treble's on the back, lots of bells do a dodge. If you ever ring things like double Bob or reverse Bob, fiendishly difficult things to ring, you have a dodge at the half lead as well as at the lead end in double bob, for example. So it's like plain bob, but bells dodge when the treble's on the back as well as when it's on the front. So having an idea of the half lead is quite a useful thing to be able to do. Right, now the treble will start coming down. And so what we had just there, when the treble was leading at hand stroke. That's kind of your sign that at the backstroke, all the bells are going to dodge. Just carry on for another lead. And there we have the lead end. What we'll try to do next is put that blue line away, change the method, and see if we can follow the treble. You've still got the visual of having the ropes in front of you, so hopefully that will help. Not going to ask questions in the chat box or anything like that for this one. Just try to follow where the treble is. You can do that through counting if you want, and just count its places as it goes. But try to do it by listening and hearing when the treble's at the back and when the treble's at the front.
Go, St. Clement's.
Just there we had the lead end when the treble was leading. In the next lead, I'm going to try pausing it at a few different points and see if you can tell me where the treble is in the chat box. So we'll see how we get on with that. Where is the treble? Tell me in the chat box if you can. It's a little game of hunt the treble. Jolly good. Yes, the treble is indeed in 6th place. It was just lying behind just there. Let's have a listen to it coming down from the back. And where's the treble there? We're kind of halfway through a row. I've paused it, but where's the treble there? Jolly good. It's in 2nd place. Knowing when the treble's striking in 2nd place at backstroke is a very useful thing for conductors, bob callers, to be able to know. Where is it that time? It's probably quite hard. Very good. Yep, treble's in 4th place. And let's just get it up to the back and then we'll stop there. And then we have the treble striking at the end of the change, just that time there. So I think what that shows to us probably is that when the treble's leading and when it's at the back, it's possibly quite a bit easier to track where it is than it would be when it's not at the front or at the back. If we just switch back to the PowerPoint, we're going to have one more go at this, but with without being able to see it on Abel. So we'll just see how we get on with this. I'm going to change the method again. I'm going to change it to a treble dodging method. So where the treble isn't hunting, it's dodging in each place. Just to make it that extra bit challenging for you guys, I guess. So just trying to spot which place the treble's in as it goes.
Go. Next time.
And where is the treble in the chat box, please? Jolly good. Yeah. Very good. Indeed, it is in 6th place. So it's just lying behind there that time. Let's see if we can track it and listen to it, hear it coming down from the back. If your microphone's on, just put it onto mute. And where would we say the treble is there? What place is it in? Very good. It's gone up to 3rd place, having just been on front that previous time. Jolly good. Okay. Right. What I thought we'd do for one final challenge before we finish off is go back to our spotting the row and do it on 8 instead. So we'll have some of the similar feature rows, but on 8 bells rather than 6. If your microphone's on, if you could just switch it off, that'd be helpful. And we'll see how we get on with this. Okay. See if you can spot what this is. What I've realised there is that the 7th on my 8 bell settings is still odd struck like it was in the last week's training session, so I think I might have to put that back. It was being slow at hand stroke. There's a little bit of listening for you. What was the change? Indeed, well done, very good. We had Whittington's that time. Okay, let's have one more and then we will finish off for the day. Jolly good. That one was indeed Tittum's. So the kind of back 4 with a bell in between and the front 4 with a bell in between. Just listen to it one more. Okay. So that's nearly the end of our little training session. Just a couple of resources to recommend. So if you want to carry on with your sort of listening skills, I mentioned last week the Central Council's Listen to Ringing CD, part 1. They also have a number 2 sequel disc. This one has things like picking out queens, that sort of stuff. Not so much on following the treble, but definitely things like picking out queens, those sorts of things. So some resources that you can use at home if you want to carry on with your listening exercises. Right.